Hello, listeners. Thanks for joining another episode of the Skin I'm In podcast. I'm your host, Chanel, and this is a place where women can tune in to gain peace through clarity, purpose through inspiration, and the permission to be themselves through the stories of other women. If you're enjoying these episodes so far, click the like, share, and subscribe button so that more women like you can be positively impacted by the stories in this podcast. My guest today is the creator and developer of Soul-Based Therapy, the author of The Road to Home, and the founder of Soul's Destiny and the Institute of Soul-Based Therapy. Even though she grew up in a traditional Western left-brain family environment, she has from a very young age always questioned life's deeper meanings, levels of existence, and been attracted to alternative modalities of healing. She's spent the last 20 years helping clients by providing wisdom, support, and compassion so that they can heal and learn to live lives that are loving, purposeful, fulfilling, and abundant. She has a master's in hypnotherapy, diploma in applied science in clinical hypnotherapy, certificate 4 in counseling and conflict resolution, Reiki 1 and 2 certifications, and 38 years of experience in medical imaging and the medical field. Her many passions include ballet, ballroom dancing, and a lifelong love for figure skating. She's now focusing her manifesting abilities to create opportunities to travel with her work. She's a mother, she's a grandmother, she is Ann Rodis. Welcome to the podcast, Ann.
Thank you for having me, Chanel.
So I had never heard of soul-based therapy before until a guest on a previous episode had asked me if I had been soul-based therapy trained. So being the curious person that I am, I started to research what that even means. And that's how I came across you and what you do. Can you explain to the listeners what is involved in soul-based therapy?
I will try my very best, Chanel. It's actually one of the most difficult questions I get asked, and it's one of my projects at the moment, I suppose, is to find a short, sweet, but very relevant and understandable explanation of what soul-based therapy is. So, soul-based therapy, like in that term per se, it could be any sort of therapy that's related to soul, I guess. Anybody could interpret it that way. But if we're talking the registered modality of soul-based therapy, it really begins with a perception as well as a structured approach. So if you think about how people traditionally, well, it depends what you call tradition, I suppose, whether you're calling recent tradition as in more of the Western way or ancient traditions. And I'm talking recently in mainstream. We tend to address symptoms. So if you go to the doctor, you go to the doctor with a problem, with a symptom, and you would like that fixed, presumably. Now, if we expand that more to, I suppose, different types of healing, there are more and more that are now looking for the underlying cause of what's going on. But soul-based therapy takes it another step, and we look at it more from the perspective of the journey of the soul. So what that means is we are very much looking at the underlying reason, but we're looking at the journey of the soul to have manifested that underlying reason. I hope I'm making some sense here.
You are, and I'm wondering if does past life regression have anything to do with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it doesn't mean that every issue, every symptom in your life has a past life connection at all. We need to be very careful to not go off on that, oh, it must be past life, because sometimes that can be making excuses for what we're quite consciously creating ourselves. But, we often have these challenges in life. Well, we always have challenges in life. That's what life's about. And some of them that are kind of long term and we can actually start to see a pattern, they can have and often do have origins in like childhood, but there are also origins often in a past life. And there can also be elements that are ancestrally passed down. So once we understand that everything's energy, then we can start to see how these other elements that are supposedly not part of our current existence can be influencing. Because let's just take ancestral, it can be an energy that is passed down through the DNA. Now, unlike when we're normally looking at DNA, genetics, things like that, it can seem like those things are set and nothing is changeable. When we're talking energy, energy is movable and changeable. So if you've got the energy of something in the DNA, it can be changed. As physics will tell us, we can't get rid of energy, but we can transform it. And so what we're trying to do through soul-based therapy is transform all the energetic elements that are contributing to the obstacles that someone is encountering in their present day life.
Who would benefit from this kind of healing modality?
Well, this just probably sounds a bit arrogant. I don't know, but everybody. Um, Although in saying that, not people that aren't open to self-awareness and to growth. If people just want to stay how they are, there's no judgment of that, but they're unlikely to benefit from soul-based therapy because I often say to my clients, I don't have a scalpel. I can't rewire your brain. You've got to want the change. You've got to want to move from here to there. And you've got to be able to go, right, that is how I want to be. This is not serving me. And then we facilitate that transformation, but we don't do it for people because that takes away their learning and their growth. And that's what this is about. And that actually does them a disservice if anybody's trying to do something for them.
So is it that someone will come to you or a practitioner of soul-based therapy and be like, "I want to lose weight," or "I wanna give up smoking," or "I feel angry all the time and I don't know why." Do you ever come across people who are just like, "I want to change," but then when you do the work, it's really hard to shift whatever it is that's going on with them? Like, are they resisting it?
Oh, now you're opening a can of worms, Chanel. So there, yes, is the answer to that. So that can be because they think they want it to be different, but they don't really want it to be different. It can be that they want it to be different, but they're not ready to do what it takes to make it different. Or it can be that there are what we might call ego states getting in the way. Now, these are parts that we create within our, well, let's call it a personality, to keep us safe. So, for example, we, if you put a crawling child at the edge of a cliff, chances are they're going to crawl off the edge of the cliff. If you put me at the edge of the cliff, I'm going to be shaking like a leaf and reversing backwards rather quickly because I have learnt, I have developed an ego state that produces those feelings that resemble anxiousness and fear to keep me alive. But for a crawling baby, they haven't developed that ego state yet.